Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about game boxes found within TTS mods. Now, while game boxes are not always included in mods, it is generally a good idea in my opinion to include a box, simply because it is I think what represents your game best. So whenever I think of a game personally, the first thing that comes to mind is of course the box art. So it's very good for branding, it's very good for marketing, and especially when you consider that TTS mods are usually used as a sort of marketing tool to demo games prior to Kickstarter and during Kickstarter, of course, then it is going to be a very good idea to include essentially the biggest and most recallable, if that's even a word, component in your game, which is your box. But then again, boxes in TTS are usually just cosmetic, right? So you rarely see any box that actually opens, that has stuff inside, because it's a little clunky to actually make a functional box within TTS. But that's exactly why I guess I was attracted to the challenge of having a functional box within TTS. So right now I will demonstrate to you how, boxes can be actually functional within TTS and not just completely cosmetic and placed to the side. Right, so in order to demonstrate that, I do have my Sleeping Gods demo mod that I'm making with Red Raven Games and Ryan Lockett. So it's not yet quite ready because I'm still waiting for final approval from Ryan for the mod, but hopefully sooner rather than later you guys will get your hands on this. But yeah, as you can see, the mod is basically just the box. There's nothing else in it, which is atypical of a TTS mod. Why? Because everything's inside. So as you can see, if I mouse over the box, in typical TTS fashion, you can see outlines of some components inside, which is kind of cool. Now, Sleeping Gods is a great example of a game that would have a functional box simply because it has boxes within its main box, which is kind of cool. So yeah, so let's take a look at the box, and it's kind of cool too that you can replicate the actual box that you have quite accurately within TTS. So you can see, at the very least, this is a Kickstarter version of Sleeping Gods. Let's make that clear, because Sleeping Gods doesn't have this gold foil on the retail box. So I wanted to recreate the Kickstarter version just to make it seem a lot more premium. And as you can see, that is indeed spot UV, which is kind of cool. So if we can shine the light properly on that, you can see that the gold foil actually shines, which is kind of cool. You can't really see that. I mean, the logo for Red Raven is also supposed to be spot UV'd and shimmering and shining like the name of the game, but the lighting conditions and the fact that it's kind of white makes it a little difficult to actually see that. The option was to make the box itself a little darker to make that come out more, but you know what? The box art, of course, is very, very important to me, and I didn't want to mess around with that too much. But it's still very good to see that you can have spot UVs within TTS mods. So hopefully that's something that interests you guys. So anyway, as you would with any box, you want to open it, right? So we could actually lift the box up by clicking on it and putting it aside. And as you can see, it is indeed functional. So hopefully it won't drop yet. Oh, because, oh, there we go. So since I dropped it already, that triggered the animation, the scripting that I made. So basically when you drop the box, the box will be set aside so that you can do the different phases of setup. So as you can see, the spot UVs actually look so much better in this particular angle simply because the light hits it more readily. So that's cool. So you can't see it here because the light, oh, there it is. We do have some light over there. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, excellent. So as you can see, you could actually grab stuff from it if you wanted, and that's great. The lighting is very off, so let me fix that. There we go. There, so you could see the components. And then yeah, you can grab these things and they're cool. And as you can see, as I said, they are boxes within boxes. Hopefully you didn't see that something there. That's something else I want to talk about within in a future video. But yeah, you probably saw a sneak peek of something else that I want to showcase in a future video. But anyway, so as you can see, it is a functional box. So I could grab those boxes, but I do have this button over here that will set up the boxes for me. Boom. All right. So, it's not the smoothest simply because, the components tend to want to get out of this box, unfortunately. And yeah, it's kind of hard to have them move via script. But yeah, with by moving them by hand, it works totally fine. Oh no, what happened? Anyway, let's go back in time. There you go. And yeah, it's great. So you can actually open these boxes as well. So I have done an execution of this before wherein you actually lift the lid itself, but for the purposes of this particular mod, I think that will be a little too flimsy because having a physics-based opening of the box will possibly make components fly around and do stuff. But for the demo, I really wanted everything to be as stable as possible. So what I did was I made triggers for the opening and the closing of the boxes. And I also wanted to teach myself essentially how to animate certain things within TTS. And that's the reason why I went with the triggered effect animation thingy for actually opening boxes. So yeah, the first button will open it, as you can see. Boom. Right, so everything looks really, really cool, and the flap over there even opens. And this is basically accurate to the real life components because these boxes do have a white lining on them, which is cool. So let's move this a little bit because this box usually hits that box, unfortunately, which I need to fix. But yeah, and this one also does the same thing. Open. Ta-da! Cool. This one too. They're essentially identical, these three, but of course the sizes and the textures all different. And as you can see, all of the components are there too, which is fantastic. And you can just grab them, put them back in, which is really cool. Right, so you can close it. So I can do a right click, close it, and yeah, I can grab it and put it elsewhere. So yeah, as you can see, while boxes are cool, the functionality is not that fantastic, unfortunately. So things go through stuff and whatever. But yeah, that's just the nature of TTS. But it's still very, very cool to have like boxes within a TTS mod because I think it helps better represent what your game looks like. People can actually see what's inside the box, how everything's packed in, how tightly packed everything is, and I think that will be something very, very attractive to possible backers for your Kickstarter or players of your game, right? So that's cool. And then of course, I guess the most complex of the boxes would be this. This is actually a magnetic box, right? Unlike this, which is basically just a tuck box, right? Essentially. I don't really know what you call these boxes, but yeah, the form is essentially a tuck box. But yeah, this is a magnetic box, which means it has a flap over there. Boom. Open the flap first and open it up. And as you can see, much like the box itself. So cool, right? It has a liner. So I believe they call this a liner. Oops, I showed you a little preview of something I want to show in the next video again, but anyway, so yeah, you can even line it up, and I've taken special care to actually have this pretty accurate, right? So in your games, you have this sort of excess of the printing, the sticker essentially, of the cover that goes inside the box, and of course you have the liner, the line art, not the line art, sorry, the art for the liner inside the box as well. So even this one, oops. Even the other box has a liner as well, and that's really, really cool. So yeah, much like the other boxes, this magnetic box is also functional. Oops, I wasn't supposed to do that. And yeah, it's super, super cool. So again, we can just open it as you want, grab stuff as you want, and yeah, even close them if you want to, which is great. And yeah, it's Just so nice. I mean, the only thing lacking would be the magnetic sound of snapping there, but maybe I can include that in the future. So yeah, just to give you a brief look at what the mod's gonna look like eventually. So these things actually open up depending on the setup phase. So we can set up, say, the ship, for example. So the ship boxes are these components, right? And yeah, so as you can see, everything's taken from the box and set up on the table properly, which is fantastic, right? And there you go. And that is even randomized as well. So it's great. Setting things up. Ooh, that's a little messy, but everything's fine because everything's scripted properly. It doesn't need to be actually in the box, but it's just a nice touch, right? So we can set up the books as well. Everything's just gonna go in place. Set up boxes. Didn't I already press this? Yeah. Oh, okay, because we went back in time earlier. Okay, so let's just go ahead and have everything set up just so that you can see. So again, yeah, everything is in the box. Everything is pretty much automated. This is randomly set up, the different characters, of course, except of course the captain, which is always going to be near the ship. And then I will stop there because the atlas itself is actually a different video altogether because there's something that I want to feature in that. So yeah, functional boxes, very, very good. I mean, you know, there are limitations to their actual functionality, but I think it's worth investing the extra effort and actually making them functional because it adds to that wow factor in your TTS mod and just makes your game better represented, in my opinion, and hopefully much more attractive and much more enticing to play as a result. So there you go. That's what I have for you guys. Functional boxes within TTS. Very cool stuff, and I enjoy making them even though they take a long time to do. Completely unnecessary, by the way. Completely unnecessary. Like if you have a TTS mod, you definitely do not need functional boxes within there, but if you do have the time, the curiosity to actually make these boxes, then I think it's very satisfying personally, and definitely worth it to make your mod that much nicer and elevate it to that next level, right? So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and until the next video, I'll talk to you again soon.